Okay, I hate doing segments like these because I feel like all the analysis is really obvious, so all I can really do is basically catch people up on what's going on. But I'll try. I'll try my best. It all seems pretty obvious to me, but so here's the dealio, okay? Donald Trump, top secret intel kept in his basement at Mar-a-Lago, his personal estate, claims to have given back all of the documents that were requested for presidential records. The federal government says, no, you didn't. They acquired a warrant. The attorney general signed off on it, along with a variety of other officials. The FBI came in, they yoinked some stuff, they left. Where are we at right now? Well, we now see the warrant. And it's kind of bad. See, the feds apparently were looking for documents pertaining to our nuclear capabilities. Now, obviously, that is a pretty big deal. The exact information on our nuclear capabilities is considered to be a matter of national security, so you can imagine. There were 3 injunctions. Did they list them here? Or do they just say that the Espionage Act was one of them? A couple notes on the nature of this investigation. So, this investigation and the validity of the potential charges against Trump are not influenced by whether or not he has declassified this information. It is, of course, the right of the president to declassify information if they choose to. He claims to have declassified all of the information that was made public, or that exists in those kept documents, but those charges aren't really relevant. The current concern, as I understand it, is that he might have sort of a little bit possibly have been keeping those documents so that he could show them off to people to impress them, or to foreign dignitaries to sell U.S. secrets. If it's declassified, does that mean just anyone can know our nuke capabilities? As I understand it, any documents pertaining to our nuclear capabilities have to go through a different declassification procedure. Can somebody second me on that? I'm pretty sure I saw that from the Legal Eagle video, which I strongly recommend you guys take a look at because he is a lawyer and I am not. Yeah, there's a separate department you have to go through. So if there are any nuclear documents in there, Department of Energy has to sign off. Yeah, there we go. Yes, also Legal Eagle is hot. That is true. So the concern essentially is that he was in some way profiting from the disclosure of classified top secret information, and the feds have seized materials. It also seems that they are going to be fingerprint dusting the stuff they seized. There were some conservative commentators early on who were making fun of the FBI for checking some things into evidence, up to and including like a cocktail napkin. But the reason the police might take a cocktail napkin, not just for funsies, actually, not just to lick little bits of alcohol residue off the circle left in the bottom rim. It's actually to dust it for fingerprints, I think. So what we're looking at here is completely unprecedented. This is not just an investigation of a former president. This is an unannounced raid on his residence to enable a full criminal investigation of what might potentially be an extremely serious crime. One that would disqualify him from running again. I believe the charge under the Espionage Act carries a penalty of up to 10 years per document. He had multiple boxes of documents down there, so that would, I think, combine to be more than his remaining lifetime. A 10-year jail sentence would be more than his remaining lifetime, unless unless evil really does sustain. I'd be very surprised if he made it even half that, frankly. The last nuclear spies, the Rosenbergs, were both executed. Well, that was bad. The Rosenberg situation, not great. Will from PA, don't worry, we're getting to it. After the raid, conservative commentators, Fox News, Tucker Carlson, everyone screaming, show us the warrant. Show us the warrant. We're very concerned. This is all a fake hoax. This is all a political attack, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, when it comes to the accusations that this is some kind of political attack, don't even dignify them. Like, don't take the bait. Because conservatives all have the same NPC dialogue tree ready for you. What about Hunter Biden, the private citizen who we've invented 17 conspiracy theories about that have somehow never led to any charges brought against him? What about... Isn't that kind of like a former president with nuclear secrets? What about Benghazi? You know, they don't want to talk about it. But it is a deliberate deflection, because the true belief of the conservatives who, you know, who protest too much is that Trump can't actually do anything wrong. And we're going to see that soon enough. That is the recurring theme here. You can go on Twitter right now, search Trump. I'm not going to do it myself because I don't have my hazmat protective gear on, but you're going to see a bunch of basically every conservative thought leader screaming like variations on 2 or 3 types of messages. One of which is, by investigating the former president, you have made us angry, and he will use his political power to punish you when he reaches office again. Great. The second one is, this is all a political attack. None of this is real. This is all fake. The FBI planned it. Everything is you know, planted. It's all done. And the third one, the third one is essentially he did nothing wrong. That he can't do anything wrong. That they'll support Trump no matter what. People who have donned the hazmat suit and gone looking on social media, do I lie? Have you not seen these same messages iterated by every single Republican politician, every single Republican commentator? It is those messages. Like, that's it. Like, that's the only shit coming out of them right now. No actual engagement with the subject, no cautious engagement, none of that. It's all just, it's all fake. It's not fake, but it's okay. And when we attain power again, you will all be shot and put in mass graves. You know, that's essentially those are it. That's it. That's the only. It's all we're getting from it. That's not all, of course. The warrant, the raid of Mar-a-Lago, it was going to be declassified, of course. You know, the public record warrants are something everyone has a right to see. But they were going to redact the FBI agents that carried out the warrant. But Trump leaked the warrant to Breitbart. And Breitbart showed it to everyone without redacting the FBI agents' names. So they just went right ahead with it, getting ahead of the government. Here we go. Breitbart slammed for doxing Fed agents involved in Mar-a-Lago raid. It is exactly as bad as it sounds. From the perspective of the tens, hundreds of millions of conservatives in this country, the message is thus: this is the name. These are the names of the people who the deep state used to try to attack your innocent, godlike, Jesus-loving president. You know? And yes, of course, this happened a day after Canoe. This happened a day after a Trump supporter tried killing a federal agent. Let me see. We didn't even talk about that because I was waiting for the universe to bring us info in threes. Let me see. Homeland Security Today. What a cursed place to get your news from. Extremists praise martyr who attacked FBI Cincinnati office. Declare war on FBI has begun. So yeah, on August 11th, the FBI Cincinnati field office had an armed subject attempt to breach the visitor screening facility. The FBI Cincinnati field office said, upon the activation of an alarm and a response by armed FBI special agents, the subject fled northbound on an Interstate 71. This is good. The suspect, Ricky Walter Schiffer, 42, reportedly fired a nail gun when trying to enter the FBI office and was armed with an AR-15 style rifle. You know how when you're playing a game and you have like 2 guns on your character and you have the good one and the bad one, and you're like, okay, I have to use all the ammo on the bad one because I want to save the ammo on the good one. So yeah, he went in with the nail gun first, you know, tactically conserving ammunition. Very good. Then fled, driving apparently a Ford Crown Victoria. I didn't know that. He thought a nail gun would break bulletproof glass. I'm not an expert on ballistics, but I think that a nail gun actually fires nails with less momentum and force than a bullet. I could be wrong on that, but I think the bullet velocity, yeah, I think there's more kinetic force being delivered. Could be wrong, though. The FBI, Ohio State Highway Patrol, and local law enforcement engaged in an hours-long standoff with the suspect after he was cornered in a cornfield near Wilmington, Ohio. A cornfield in Ohio. Ohio State Police told reporters that attempts to negotiate with the suspect failed and Schiffer was fatally shot by officers after raising a gun. No officers were injured. The rare police officer W. Very good. And then, and this is the best part, a post on Truth Social, that's Trump's Twitter account, or Twitter alternative. The alternative Twitter started by former President Trump from the account Ricky W. Schiffer Jr. said at 9:29 a.m. EST, "Well, I thought I had a way through bulletproof glass, and I didn't. If you don't hear from me, it is true. I tried attacking the FBI, and it'll mean either I was taken off the internet, the feds got me, or they sent the regular cops. Wow." And then they killed him. So his last message to Trump Twitter was, "Why nail gun, no break, bulletproof glass?" I don't know what he thought he was going to do after he got through that, by the way, in the FBI office full of FBI agents. The FBI agents. But, you know, whatever. Godspeed. Phenomenal. And this guy was at the Jan 6 rally. Great. So, the day after that happened, Breitbart doxed the FBI agents involved in the Mar-a-Lago raid. So you can see the implicit concern. Hopefully all of the future Boogaloo Boy wannabes bring their nail guns too, and their efforts are just as effective. And that doxing led to an unprecedented number of violent threats against the FBI. Thank you, Last Wish 16. FBI investigating unprecedented number of threats against Burrow in wake of Mar-a-Lago search. And you know what? I hope they all get arrested. Phenomenal around find out potential right here. It's the FBI. It's literally their job to follow up on this sort of thing, you know? I'm really hoping, because let's be real, every person they catch now is a mass shooting in the future prevented, right? Like, these people get caught now, or they drive to their local Denny's to gun down all of the fine people enjoying their plastic pancakes. Really better now than any other time, I hope. And I was linked this just a little bit earlier. Newsweek reports the documents Trump stole include payroll records for U.S. spies. So, again, I know it sounds like action movie stuff, but we do actually have a spy network around the world. Every country does, or at least the larger ones do. And information on those spies is very secret. Very, very secret. Yeah, we literally had a whole Mission Impossible movie on this exact subject. Very, very, very secret. And this is actually really serious. Our foreign operatives are going to get killed. Yeah, that would be what happens if all that info was shared. This tweet concludes by speculating how exactly Jared Kushner got $2 billion. Very curious. We'll see. Trump was always pretty buddy-buddy with the Saudis. The idea that they might want to get a little leeway on us is not exactly, you know, unimaginable. Look, I try not to lean too hard into this stuff because you never know until the investigations are finished. Here's two things I want to say. First of all, no matter what Trump did, if he did anything, if this was incompetence, if he was just showing it off to his rich buddies and his former Epstein Island co-child friends that, you know, yeah, I still have these documents. They didn't even ask for them back, you know. Or it was being sold to the Saudis. It doesn't matter what's found. Conservatives will never accept fault. The worst imaginable things could happen. Russia could get a hold of all of our nuclear program intel. It would not matter. Support for Trump is completely unconditional. There is literally nothing that he can do that will get them to reconsider. And this is one of the things that actually gives me a smidge of hope in 2024. The cult of personality behind Trump is so fastidiously devoted that it already has to an extent, but it will continue to interfere with the actual interests of the party. Like, for example, if DeSantis and Trump fight in 2024, they're going to tear the party apart. DeSantis might be their only good bet if Trump actually does get arrested, and Trump probably won't take that lying down. Will probably, make attacks from the other side of the fence, split up the GOP. You'll have like the GOP and the dark GOP, like MAGA Ignited or whatever. They'll have some Trump-specific party. Is it guaranteed? No. Is it a possibility? Yes. And the more dedicated the cult of Trump gets, the more likely it is they're not going to be able to pivot away from him when it's to the benefit of their party. Do you think Trump would run from prison? Do I think Trump would be a flight risk? Oh God, yeah. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. He would fly to Russia probably. Russia or Saudi Arabia. I bet you would be one of those two. He could fly. Yeah, 100%. He doesn't want to die in jail. If he goes to jail, he will be dying in jail. He doesn't want that. By the way, a former president in jail, guys, that would be unprecedented, correct? To my knowledge, nobody who has ever held the office of the presidency has ever been in jail after leaving the office of the presidency. Is there an exception to that? Okay, no, I didn't think so. I'm just making sure, even before. No, I mean after the. Yeah, so that'd be pretty funny. We could see his mugshot. Oh, the mugshot of a former president. I bet a lot of people would probably use that as their presidential portrait library photo. Like they have all the presidents and Washington's portrait and everything, and then they have Trump for his mugshot, and the rest of them go on normal. Oh, that'd be good. Quality stuff right there. Not exactly original in concept, but I think it'd be nice. I'm not sure, Gally. Maybe even not before. Maybe no one who's ever been to prison has later been. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure. So wait, that's point number one. The point number two that I really want to make here, okay, is that if Trump is properly charged and arrested, it is going to lead to violence on the streets. There is no universe in which the Republican constituency does not interpret that as the ring bell being rung or the starting gun being fired. There's just no way around that. Now, I am genuinely hoping. Okay, this is my hope. Okay, now, by the way, I'm huffing some hopium here. This is some deep. This is like when they're huffing the cigar and they do 20 consecutive small puffs, to maximize the cancer. Okay, this is my hopium. My hopium would be, first of all, do I think Trump did something bad? Yeah, of course I do. Not just that. I'm sure he's done plenty of shit. But obviously, former presidents, current presidents, wealthy people broadly have a lot of legal immunity. So, it's pretty tough to get them for something. Do I think he's done something? I certainly do. Now, if he gets charged and arrested, if that leads to violence on the streets, that would be the best possible pretext for Dark Brandon to come in and lay down the law. And by lay down the law, I mean all of the Republican politicians, media leaders, thought leaders who support the violent action. Just bam. Broad conspiracy charges, sedition, trying to overthrow. It's like Jan 6, but more explicit. You're trying to rise, I'm going to kick you back down. And they could gut the GOP. Like that. They could gut the GOP. You get, all it would take is a few people, really, a few powerful people getting arrested on adjacent charges, if they're enabling this or getting, sort of riled up for it. You have to understand, fascists are irrational. It's kind of baked into the process. And while some of them are capable of leaning back and waiting and making sure everything gets lined up properly, this new, QAnon right, QAnon MAGA group, they're not, People like McConnell know when to lean back and disavow January 6th, once they realize it won't work, mind you. But some people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, Gates, they'll bite bait. They will. They're not rational enough to fairly assess what their odds are. And if they fuck up, if they overplay their hand after Trump gets charged and arrested, if that does happen, that could be the legal, moral pretext that the majority of this country needs to say, okay, yeah, this isn't just a matter of disagreement. We literally can't have these people in positions of power. It's not enough to oh, you can vote them out. It's not even a matter. You don't get a choice. They're out. That's the hope. Is it likely? No. Everything that I just described would require several possibly unlikely things to happen in succession. But is it possible? I think it is possible. And that's what I'm going to hope for, I hope Trump goes to jail. I hope that he looks ugly in his mugshot. I hope that Republicans cry about it. And I hope that their, piss baby hissy fit following prompts poor decision making. That would be the hope. Yeah. Thank you, Germ. Yeah, right here. Today, the FBI and DHS issued, this was just 2 hours ago, a joint intel bulletin warning of, quote, the potential for domestic violent extremists to carry out attacks in reaction to the FBI's recent execution of a court-authorized search warrant in Palm Beach, Florida. If they're putting this warning out for the search, imagine what they're going to have to put out for the arrest. Hoo boy! I bet you they're going to have to warn a whole bunch of associated agencies weeks before they actually go ahead with the arrest publicly, so that everyone's up and ready for all the political ramifications it would bring. Real good. Real good. Oh, look at that. Look at that crisp lettering. They'll likely give him house arrest, not prison. You don't go to prison till after you're convicted. You go to jail while waiting, but you're right that he would probably be kept in house arrest and not in jail. The likelihood of him being kept in jail, fairly low. They would probably deem him a flight risk, though, on account of him being, a very wealthy and powerful. Yeah, so that's the hope. That's the hope. So could this mean they're sending out these warnings as we speak? Possible, but unlikely. It's possible that they're throwing out, like, preliminary warnings right now. In fact, I imagine all the agencies who would be involved in charging a former president basically know the game, right? Like, you don't authorize the warrant on Mar-a-Lago without realizing, like, okay, if we get enough on him to really charge him, like, that's happening, That's a thing. Yeah, that would be a big deal. Like I said, fully unprecedented in American history. We are living in extraordinary times. Do you think Trump deserves the death penalty? Not just for this, but potentially any other reason? So I'm going to say no, because I'm not a big death penalty fan. I will say one thing, though. I have heard a convincing argument for the death penalty in exactly one case. Only one. And it's when a person is still capable of being a threat to society from prison. Cult leaders, politicians, and media figures are all capable of spreading poison, depending on the viciousness of their, ideology, even while behind bars. The purpose of putting a person in prison is to separate them from society so that they can't harm people. But if a person's harm is done entirely through messaging, and they can continue that messaging while they're in prison, then that no longer works on them. In that case, I suppose they could be some kind of special prison circumstance where they don't have the ability to contact the outside world, which would be my preference. But in the absence of that system, where you essentially have the potential for continued communication or the death penalty, I think you could make a decent utilitarian argument for the death penalty. The fact that he could also be pardoned, considering these are federal crimes. If DeSantis won in 2024 and immediately pardoned Trump, that would be a little bit cringe. That would be slightly problematic. Doing the Napoleon treatment to Trump award. Yeah, just put him on an uninhabited island with like a castle on it, and like a cellar. Just put him over there. Whatever. Lock him up on Epstein's island. Ooh, that would be like the great ironic punishment, wouldn't it? It'd be torture for him too, because he'd have to look out like the veranda and see all the places where he used to like get drunk and children, and he'd think like, oh, that was so much better, but now I'm in prison. That would be like psychological torture, but the good kind. Yeah, he's like reminiscing about the good old days.